Hey, welcome into the Husker247 Post-game Podcast. It is 1:15 in the morning. I am in a very empty house. It has internet and a microphone set up, and I watched Nebraska win 20-17 on an iPad. So, what better way to kick off the 2020 season than with a very haggard looking Mike Schaefer talking to you here after Nebraska wins 20-17 against Cincinnati on a Thursday night. We'll be quick with this. I don't even know how many people are going to be listening or watching, but Nebraska starting off 1-0. That's the big takeaway here. You get the win against Cincinnati, a Power Four team, a team that could be an okay mid-level Big 12 team. I don't want to make too much of Cincinnati, and I don't want to make too much of the opponent. This is about Nebraska here. The Huskers were able to finish a game on the field in the fourth quarter. Matt Rule spent a lot of time in the offseason talking about that as a thing that he felt this group was going to be able to do. He thought he saw growth as they did it with Boston College in the Pinstripe Bowl. He thought that they learned some life lessons along the way with several of their close losses in the 2024 season. But for a lot of the fourth quarter, it kind of felt like same old Nebraska. Opportunities to put the game away or to distance themselves from Cincinnati, an opportunity for the defense to step up and with a two-score lead, take and get the ball back, give themselves a chance to finish things out that way. So it's it's tough because Nebraska walked away with a win. Malcolm Hartzog with a big interception to close things out, but you still leave with a lot of questions about what this team actually is going into what is such a pivotal season for this program. I mean, it's not just that Nebraska needs to make another bowl game or to take a step forward with Matt Rule. It's about maximizing a schedule and maximizing potentially a quarterback in Dylan Iola that they just haven't had a lot of. And so, yes, this was a win moving forward, but it's sort of one of those where you have to squint and turn your head and make it look a little bit better at the end of it. Still, nonetheless, Nebraska 20-17 winners over Cincinnati. I mentioned Malcolm Hartzog with the interception. That was a big play in that game. He wasn't the best defensive back for Nebraska on the night. Donovan Jones, Omaha North's own Donovan Jones. What a start to his season. I thought he brought a lot of energy to Nebraska's defense. He had several nice tackles. He came up with a very nice play, blowing up just kind of a, I don't know if you call it a screen, but sort of a quick hitter to the outside. And he snuck in there and was able to upend the receiver, killing that thing as it got started. He came down in a run fit, blew up a ball carrier, was fired up about that. And he looked like a guy who's going to be a football player for a long time for Nebraska. And so that was quite a good thing to see on Thursday night on that side of the ball. Williams Winery, I thought, looked really good coming from the defensive line position. First game action that he's really had. I mean, he played a little bit for Missouri, but this was his debut for Nebraska, getting to play in front of the home crowd as a Kansas City guy. I think meant a lot to him, and I thought it was notable you would see him tailing at the end of several plays. You know, running things down, it, sort of on the backside pursuit, or what have you. And then, of course, he recovered the fumble that was caused by Vincent Shavers and what was a critical play for Nebraska. That whole sequence, Nebraska felt like they got off the field with a stop. It sure looked like it was going to be fourth and short. Cincinnati awarded a first down. The officials just inexplicably don't stop the play to review whether he reached the line of gain or not. And then on the very next play, Cincinnati hurrying along hits a quick drag that then turns into a nice hit and forced fumble from Vincent Shavers, a recovery for Williams Winery, and then a quick pass to Isaiah Hunter, a rush for Emmett Johnson, and a nice 5 yard. Do we call it a fade? It didn't really put it that much in the air. It's almost more back shoulder than it was fade, but a great catch from Isaiah Hunter, secured the grab, got Nebraska's first touchdown, put the Huskers up 13-3 at halftime. So that entire sequence really, really valuable. And when Airy diving on that ball helps set everything else into motion. Before I get more into just the offense, I kind of want to finish things up here defensively. If I was going to boil this down, sort of the obvious concerns: Nebraska's defensive line, Nebraska's defensive front did not look good against the run. Also, didn't get a lot of pressure on Sorsby. Now, some of that could be by design. You don't want to let him leak out. We saw what he did. Specifically in the fourth quarter, there was one play where the linebacker tails the wide receiver out into the flats and it opens the middle of the defense. And Sorsby just knifed Nebraska on that one. It looked like it was a 29-yard run was the long for him, and it certainly came on that play. Sorsby finished with 96 yards rushing, only finished with 69 yards passing. Nebraska did a great job on that end of things, but 202 yards allowed on the ground, 6.7 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns to Sorsby in the second half. Nebraska's pretty lucky to get out of here with a win with those kind of rushing numbers. Obviously, they were able to stand up in the passing game, got the big interception from Malcolm Hartzog to get off the field at the very end of it. But you do not see those kind of rushing numbers from a Power Four team and see them also lose. And so Nebraska a little bit fortuitous there. Let's talk some offense. We'll finish up with the special teams. Like I said, just kind of a quick recap podcast. We're going to have a lot more content. Husker 24/7 daily will be dropping 10 a.m. on Friday. Myself and I believe Brian Christopherson will dive into a few things in this game in sort of a short podcast format. And then the Sunday side session scheduled to go on Sunday, hopefully mid-morning for that as well. That'll be a more in-depth conversation. Can kind of dive into more things there. And of course, you want the coverage. You can always go to Husker247.com. Plenty of coverage can be found there from this game and certainly leading up to the next one and everything else in between, because it's high school football season, probably going to be at a game on Friday. So all of that going on. But back to tonight's game. Nebraska offensively, that was tough to watch. I mean, last year felt like a slog. It just felt like everything was hard for Nebraska. And then the first game this year, you have one play where you get over 20 yards. Moving the ball in chunks is difficult for this team. Moving the ball consistently is difficult for this team. I can recognize and understand that Cincinnati was playing in a shell and keeping everything in front of you, and so you weren't able to go down the field all the time. And they did have a nice 25-yard play to Isaiah Hunter in the first half, but it shouldn't be this hard. Nebraska just makes offense look like it is the most difficult thing in the world. And it's college football. I mean, it is an offense-friendly environment, and they've got weapons, they've got pieces. Dana Holgorsen was brought in to help figure this out, and at least in this very first game, and now things can get a lot better, and they're expected to look better with Akron and Houston Christian on the schedule. But when Nebraska gets into conference play, it's going to be a lot more like this. And will they have playmakers? Will they have guys that can be dynamic? Will Ja'Cory Barney be able to run through a tackle where somebody touches him on the thigh? Is Emmett Johnson going to not miss the hole and be able to bounce it to the outside for longer runs? And that's not to take anything away from Emmett. They needed him. He was very much a workhorse today. But you're just not going to win a lot of games in the Big Ten against these teams where you're running for 100 yards and your average completion is 5.8 yards, and those just aren't good numbers. And Dana Holgorsen knows they aren't good numbers. So I'm curious in what ways things can kind of change for Nebraska's offense. The good, though, Dylan made largely good decisions. Nebraska got away with a couple things here. Very easily could have allowed a defensive touchdown in either half. Had a couple fumbles that bounced out of bounds just perfectly for them. So, Nebraska hasn't always had luck in that department, certainly had it in their favor on Thursday. Elsewhere offensively, the offensive line didn't feel like they played a particularly good game, whether it was Elijah Pritchett's penalty on 1st and goal from the 1, whether it was the pass rush that Cincinnati was able to generate later in the game, whether it was the fact that they didn't really just bully ball a Cincinnati team that, again, I just kind of anticipates middle of the pack and in the Big Ten. So there's a lot that you don't really get to feel good about with Nebraska's offense. So, again, we'll see what this looks like here in the future. But for week one, they did enough. They got the win, and that's great. But Nebraska's offense, if this is going to be the strength of the team, it's got to be better. And so these next couple of weeks, it's about finding guys beyond Emmett Johnson that you can get the ball to, finding ways to open up your passing game, finding ways to make simple throws for Dylan Raiola. Again, he had a great completion percentage. He has a good QBR. It all looks nice statistically. But Nebraska put up 20 points. They ran somewhere in the neighborhood of like 39 to 40 plays in Cincinnati's territory, and they scored 20 points. That's not good. That's not good at all. And so it's got to be better than that. When the schedule gets tough again, Nebraska has to be a better version of this offense. It can't trot out what it did in 23 and 24 and just hope, because this defense still, it's going to need help. And maybe that help comes from the special teams, because special teams were very good today. Shout out to Kyle Cunanan and Archie Wilson, two guys Mike Eckler brought in. Both guys had really nice debuts for Nebraska. Archie Wilson, of course, playing his first ever game of football at any level, and it occurs in Arrowhead Stadium. Drops in 3 perfect punts in a row, put 2 inside the 10-yard line, 1 inside the 20. Could be a real weapon for Nebraska. And so that's a guy that, for him to sort of come out and be unflappable in a situation where, Nebraska's had punters who have seemingly shanked the ball in that spot or kicked it to the wrong coverage or what have you. For him to just drop it and perfectly go out of bounds there at the 9-yard line and tell Cincinnati this is where you're starting. Now you got to drive the length of the field to go win or to give yourself a chance to tie. It's a huge, huge moment. And then Kyle Cunanan, the Charlotte Cal transfer at kicker, just knocking home a 52-yarder that had a little extra leg on it. The ball didn't move once he put it out there. It was just a straight line. It was just nicely inside the upright. So that was good to see. He made the short kick a little bit later. Nebraska got the 6 points when they had the opportunity to do so. And so if those guys can be reliable, special teams unit in general is definitely an arrow up from what we've seen in the past. So a lot of things to come out of this game. And again, we're going to have plenty of coverage on Husker247.com, but did want to get sort of a quick podcast in here for people to listen to either late at night. Perhaps you're stuck in that parking lot in Kansas City right now. You just want to hear someone walk through this game in sort of a disorganized fashion. I'm happy that Husker 24/7 is able to offer that to you. And of course, we offer a variety of things content-wise at Husker247.com. Great deal going, still probably going right now, Thursday night as Nebraska's season has started. You want to jump on that, get involved as a VIP member, get the recruiting info, get the inside team info, get prepared for other sports as well. We'd love to have you over at Husker247.com. All right, Husker 24/7 Daily will be back with some more video content. The podcast and video content will return on Sunday with the Sunday side session. Got a guest lined up for that as well. Plenty of written content over at Husker247.com. We've got report cards. We've got post-game analysis. I'm sure BC and Brunts are working on some sort of column or other great things that you could find to kind of rehash this. But the critical thing, Nebraska 1-0 with room to grow, and wasn't perfect, but you don't need to be perfect in week one. You just need to get the win, and that's what Nebraska did on Thursday night. All right, we'll be back with plenty of content throughout the weekend. Be sure to check it all out. Otherwise, enjoy your long weekend. Enjoy Labor Day. Enjoy it if you took Friday off. Have a good one. Nebraska 1-0. Let's see where this thing's going to go.